This look at WeatherScope is sponsored by Purell Instant Hand Sanitizer. To help stay well, Purell.
This is WeatherScope.
Powerful thunderstorms are rumbling through not one, but two regions of the country at this hour. Good evening, I'm Jeff Morrow. The latest target for severe weather is the southern plains, but we're also covering storms in the northeast. Let's go to Dave Schwartz in the Forecast Center with the latest.
Jeff, it's a twofer. Before one severe storm gets out of the country, another one is producing severe weather in the western plains tonight. Good evening, I'm Dave Schwartz. You really need the Weather Channel this week. I'm joined by Fred Ostby, who is our severe weather specialist. And Fred, you came to the Weather Channel just in time. What an active week we've got.
Look at that. A ton of warnings.
What do you have over there?
Well, what we're seeing is southern Worcester County in Massachusetts, this earlier line that looked like you would expect with cold water off the Atlantic Ocean to dissipate. Those storms are continuing to really barrel northeastward into Rhode Island and eastern Massachusetts now even.
Now, is this the storm that affected Chicago and Indianapolis yesterday and the Quad Cities with all that severe weather?
Yeah, this is the same system and that has moved eastward, and we talked about it a little bit yesterday that the eastern seaboard would have to be on the alert today, and it looks like it's certainly coming to fruition.
We just got another report of 80 and 88 mile-an-hour wind here. Well, let's take a look at where the severe weather was yesterday. As you can see here on this map, all these are all tornado reports.
And there were about 40 of them, too, Dave, through that area.
40 tornado reports. Now we're all clear.
Yeah, all clear there. That system has moved eastward, and another one that we'll be talking about developing in western Kansas and Oklahoma Panhandle and into Texas.
So there it is. There's our severe storm from yesterday headed for the East Coast.
Yeah. It shows how fast systems are moving. A strong jet stream aloft, and so a big, deep trough of low pressure here, another upper trough through here, all moving eastward very fast. So one day of respite in between storms, it seems like, for different parts of the country.
At the upper levels, there's one trough, and then there's another trough up here with your surface lows. Let's start off here in the northeast because we've got some rough weather. That 88 mile per hour wind gust reported just moments ago in North Carolina. What's going on here?
That's right. Well, here's the low pressure system that we saw yesterday back around in eastern Iowa, and so that's moving rapidly. Strong cold front through east central Pennsylvania, eastern New York State, and just places being hammered all the way from actually from the Canadian border here in northern New England all the way down to North Carolina. Tremendous number of severe thunderstorms all through those areas.
Now the air out ahead of this is warm and increasingly more humid as the day wears on too.
And here we can see too, Dave, the effect of the front. Notice how 71 in Philadelphia, 68 in New York, and then here we're in the 40s back in Rochester, Erie, Pittsburgh, down into the 40s. So a definite cooling trend, significantly so, behind this cold front as it moves eastward.
And speaking of the cold front, those thunderstorms, at least the last line, lined up right out ahead of that front.
What really seemed surprising is to get two strong lines of thunderstorms so close together, because usually you would expect one to kind of sap the energy of the other, that there's not enough good air to work with to have two lines like that. And also the fact that with this forward line here, that cooler water off the Atlantic has not seemed to deter the eastward progress of those storms or the intensity of them.
So what does that tell you? What is going on to keep two lines of severe storms going this early in the season?
Well, it tells us that there's a tremendous amount of dynamics working to overcome those kind of inhibitors.
Let's take a look in at a few cities here in the Northeast under watches right now, from New York City back down through Philadelphia, and then Norfolk to Raleigh under severe thunderstorm watches. Tell us what's going on here in the New York City metropolitan area. We almost got hit earlier. Now there's some heavy activity now through Philly, heading in through New Jersey.
Yeah, it looks like that first line may have missed New York City, but it looks like they're going to get hit by the second one here that extends from Newburgh down through here and down through Philadelphia. So the rest of southeastern New York and the New York City metropolitan area, and then these areas through New Jersey, are still in line for some more severe weather.
And here the Norfolk
Weather Channel. In the next half hour, WeatherScope gives you a comprehensive national forecast. At 10 after, TravelWise focuses on today's trouble spots. Next, your weekend outlook and the 5-day planner. Right now, your local forecast. Scope.
Powerful storms are rumbling through not one, but two regions of the country at this hour. Good evening, I'm Jeff Morrow. The latest target for severe weather is in the southern plains. We're also covering storms moving through some of the major metro areas of the Northeast. For all the details, we're going to go to Dave Schwartz in the Forecast Center with the latest update.
Thank you, Jeff. It's an active night tonight from southern New England down into North Carolina with a second area of severe weather out in the plains. And who better to join us than the Weather Channel's severe weather expert, Mr. Fred Ostby. Fred, you've been in this business for a long time. I know you've seen situations like this. I'd like your take on what's happening.
Well, this is one of the more severe kind of episodes that we've seen in a long while. As far as how fast things are moving and the fact that it looks like there'll be only about 1 day of respite between severe weather bouts with things moving so rapidly across the country.
Let's take a look at those two storms right now in our satellite picture. You'll see the one that affected the Midwest here yesterday has moved toward the East Coast.
Then that's what we're seeing, you know, from Illinois and Indiana yesterday. It's over here on the East Coast, and then we're also watching a new system develop here in the Rockies. That's going to be another significant severe weather producer tomorrow.
Here's that storm on the East Coast with double low pressure in the front. It's heading toward the Hudson River now, I guess.
And with quite a bit of severe weather associated with it. And when we look at the radar, we'll see how we've got two lines of severe weather. Of course, we have this cold air coming in from the west and the warmer air from the south, which sets up the contrast of these two air masses and brings about a good bit of the severe weather that we're seeing.
Now, we've had reports of severe weather in Lexington, Massachusetts, I see, just earlier this evening, 1 3/4 inch hail.
What's surprising, too, Dave, about this whole system is to see two lines of storms so close together. Usually you would expect that that one would kind of feed off the other and make it dissipate, but to see two lines so close together holding together is quite unusual, and they're both very active even at this time.
Something else we noticed is the fact that the winds at the low levels are coming out of the south over cool water here. That usually stabilizes the lower levels here such that we wouldn't see the amount of severe weather that's heading into Rhode Island, for example, right now.
That's another enigma about this situation, is that you would normally expect, you would not expect to see severe weather staying together in that line, being able to hold together when we have that kind of cooler air off that Atlantic Ocean.
Severe thunderstorm watches remain in effect from the Catskills all the way down to the Outer Banks of North Carolina, and severe weather is now moving through Long Island Sound, it appears, and through New Jersey. That looks pretty, that's a very strong winds with that.
That area through central New Jersey on up to New York City looks like a very strong storm that's moving eastward. These cells are moving eastward quite rapidly, too. Also, look up into the area here, moving into western Connecticut from eastern New York State. Also, very significant storms moving eastward there. The folks in that area are going to have to watch out, too.
Now, these storms have a history of producing 60-mile-an-hour winds here in Philadelphia and some hail, too. So what would you say to the people who live along the New Jersey coast?
Well, I think through that area, it's very obvious that they're going to have to be on the lookout for severe thunderstorms. And of course, when we talk about severe thunderstorms, lots of times people think, well, that's not like a tornado, and so I don't have to take precautions. But of course, you can get damage that's almost like a small tornado, and you can get very large hail, which can be very injurious. So
now, that happened earlier today in the Norfolk, Virginia area. There was a woman who was injured by golf ball-sized hail. They called the ambulance for her, as a matter of fact.
So people need to, treat those warnings with respect, and, if all possible, stay indoors.
Here in Baltimore and Washington, you're in the clear. The winds have switched around to northwest, and some drier air is moving in. But further south, boy, what a nasty, mean cell out here.
Things are still going strong there through North Carolina. The area around Wilson, North Carolina, got hammered really hard earlier in the evening, and those things are still going on.
Wind gusts to 88 miles per hour. Now,
and trees down, trees 2 to 4 feet in diameter, been blown down in Bridgersville in Wilson County.
Now, fortunately, this storm is running out of land. This will move offshore, and that'll be it. But there's